Afternoon, sir. I'm pleased to inform you, sir, that we have met remarkable and resounding applause and desirability for Waziri Atiku Abubakar to come in. This is premised on his experience, on his ability to unite the country, on his proven track record in industry that he has. So is currently employing quite a lot of people, and therefore he understands the pains of the business world. Is able to bring that experience to bear to governance. The fact that he was elected before as governor, the fact that he served 8 years meritoriously as Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is not leadership, it's not about age, it's about wisdom, it's about experience, it's about maturity and knowledge. And he has continuously upgraded himself. We are quite excited at the very, very warm reception across the whole place, from the southwest to the south-south to north central to the northeast, and we went as far as Yobe, sat down with them, and they regretted. So we could see people shedding tears directly on what happened in 2019 and how they disappointed and why they disappointed, what they, the ordinary people, ought to have done. So it has been quite illuminating experience for us, sir. So I said, before we go, we pass through, we must come, and I started the journey from here. I told you, asked you for your blessing and your prayers, and you gave it, and so on the way back, I should at least give you the report that I've not yet completed the whole place, but so far, so very good, sir.
This year, I will be 84 years, inshallah. That is if I hit the month of December. If I'm lucky to hit that month.
You will.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
I'll be 84. The reason why I'm bringing this age up front is to reminiscence on our country. I got admission into University of College Ibadan in 1960 as a student. I had my first degree there, and then you can imagine that we're a set of students at the point of Nigeria's independence. And Ibadan University College, it was not even University of Ibadan. It was University College Ibadan, because it was a college of University of London. So our degrees were not even for Ibadan, it is University of London degrees. We were the last set of people to receive London degrees. We saw our parents and our teachers at very, very close quarters. Our parents, our teachers mean here those who taught us in secondary school or before secondary school, those who taught us post-primary, post-secondary, up to the university. And then we saw our leaders and parents in positions of responsibility, because we had a regional democracy, regional federation at that time. We were northern students. Our scholarship was from the north. The same thing, scholars from the western region, scholars from eastern region, and so on. We all converged there because it was the only university available for all of us to attend. Lagos was not far away from us. And this is an opportunity for students, particularly student union. Some of us were fairly active in the student union movements and so on. Were constantly inviting those elders and our political fathers to come to Ibadan. And they were very happy, always anxious to accept invitation on students' events, which we sometimes hold annually and so on at that time. And they will come and give very interesting talks and lectures, starting from the Prime Minister. We had a student union leader, Dapo. Falashe, you probably have heard his name, but I think he must have passed by now. Otherwise, he's doing a lot of overtime. So he was a real comrade. So the Prime Minister is Comrade Dapo, what is your question? You know, so very, very exciting to have them from time to time to come and talk to us. The younger ministers, two very popular young ministers that would always get our invitation to come to Ibadan. Bazulike Amechi, the boy is good. That was his his title within his own group. Not too long ago, I went to his village. I was shocked to see the road before I could get to his house. Maitama Sule, they were friends. Yes. They used to sit up and go to party together and so on, this sort of thing. But the story I really want to tell is the change that by virtue of my age and my engagement from the days I was a student. In fact, I was a returning officer here in the 1959 general elections, returning officer here in Sabongari. We were recruited from Nigerian College of Arts, Science and Technology, because there were 3 colleges, one here in Zaria, one in Ibadan, and one in Enugu. And we were recruited by INEC to come and preside over elections and so on. I was doing the one here in Sabongari, not too far from my house here. So the point here is this, really. Having lived this long and having seen all that one had seen, I must say that I'm very disappointed with the progress that Nigeria was expected to make. Each time our leaders, our fathers came to us, say, finish your degrees, finish your studies, and come and take over from expatriate officers who are holding forth in various positions of responsibility, as doctors, as engineers, as whatever, as teachers in tertiary institutions and so on. That's a clarion call for us to come and build a country for future. And students were excited that, yes, there is hope for a country, a black African country like Nigeria. And so we finished our studies, returned to our regions where we had scholarship. And when I returned here, scholarship also, you are posted to Samaru. At that time, Ahmadu Bello University had been established. There's a small graduate assistant. So you see, Chief, the Nigerian story is not a very pleasant one for those of us who have seen it. To some extent, we're part of it. For those of us who still live and haven't seen what our parents had done for us, what they have done for us. Here in the north, the Sadanas. In the west, the Awolos. In the east, the Azikiwes. They did a hell of a lot of work to see that their people were developed. In 1950, when I started secondary education here in Zaire, there were only 2 secondary schools in the whole of northern Nigeria. 2 secondary schools in 1950. The one I attended, Barewa College, and Government College Kafi, except 1 or 2 other missionary secondary schools in some places. But what happened? Within a period of 10 to 15 years, there were secondary schools everywhere. There was in fact, Ahmadu Bello was challenged by politicians, his colleagues, and so on. Say, why are you building? Whom are you building the university for? And listen to what he said at that time. So I'm building it for posterity. Because at that time, in 1962, when Ahmadu Bello University law was made, there were only 2 northerners who were qualified to teach in a university. 2. Professor Isha Audu, who was then in University of Lagos, and Iya Abubakar had just returned from University of Cambridge. You know, he made first-class honors in Ibadan. And he did his PhD in physics or mathematics in Cambridge, came back. He would only qualify for lecturer 2. Now with PhD, you will become a lecturer 2. So he said, who is going to look after the university for you? So qualified people from everywhere, they should come. Where are the students? The Barewa College and the few said, no, university is for everybody. It's not for northerners only. One day, northerners will become professors here. One day, the place will be filled with students from everywhere, including northern Nigeria. So leaders are supposed to think for now and future. This is the kind of leadership that some of us grew into. And that's why some of us, perhaps who were graced with this time period, to see things happen the way they have happened or are happening now, we feel that something has to be done. Something had given, but what are we going to do? And this is the challenge right in front of us. We want this country? Do we really? Hearing from you? Yes. And perhaps hearing from somebody who perhaps who also want to be honest will say, no, we don't need it anymore. We have destroyed it in a way that is going to be extremely difficult to repair. Very difficult. But you can find the mechanics. It's like an abandoned vehicle. You either replace it completely And we are not in the mood to replace Nigeria. We are only in the mood to repair Nigeria. That's your challenge now, or this is our challenge together.
Yes, sir.
In finding these artisans and mechanics, this is where we all are. After I retired from ABU in 1987, I didn't want to be involved. High Chief, I only want to keep my degrees in agriculture and practice farming. And that's what I started. And with what I've learned, I don't see why I should fail as a farmer. And I have not failed. And there is no reason for me to, despite your policies that are not working, as long as you are looking for food, I will not fail. So you see, now, looking for mechanics, I got involved. We met in a number of occasions, constitutional conferences. I attended 3. The only one I refused to attend was the 2014, because I disagreed with the way it was being put together. I sat down with Professor Nwabuze for hours. My Tamasel will discuss the reason behind the conference and so on. With Asemota, who was a senior advocate. Is he alive?
He's still alive.
Oh, good. They told me, they told us, me and Paul Unongo, representing my Tamasule, why do we need this conference? Professor Nwabuze tried to explain. I wasn't happy. He was my teacher. I wasn't happy with his explanation. He said the British had crafted Nigeria wrongly, and therefore Nigeria needed to be recrafted into something that would work. So, but they did some recrafting all the same, and it is Nigerians that helped them to recraft or to craft whatever it is they left with us in 1960. It would have been our responsibility to continue to improve on what they left behind. But if we are not satisfied with what they left behind up to this particular point in time, then the question is not they who will answer. It is we who had been left behind or who had the responsibility to build our own country. But have we done so? Here, I always make a distinction as a teacher. If I were to mark scripts of our leadership from the time the British left to date, 1960 to 1966, A+. Then from 1966 to date, the grades begin to change from pass to fail. F, and I mean it. F, failure. We failed. For a long time, we are being running as a failed state, not failed state in that sense, but failed as leaders of states, because we have failed to build a state. And we should have had the capacity and the resources. This country had capacity, human, resource capacity to build a country that will be the envy not only in Africa, but the envy around the world. There is no doubt about that. But we haven't done so. That's why I say various grades, people can take whatever grades, but most of them is pass and failure. Pass and fail, pass and fail. Now, the latest engagement, since you are the one trying to trap me into all these things. Now, I led the consultations, Nigerian consultations. When Obasanjo challenged me, said, why can't you get to talk to elders across the country so that you can come to a position where you try to find a direction where you have leadership that will address our challenges. I agreed. I said, well, since you have run this country before, you are also in the same circle of elders by years and so on. Where do we start? He said, you go and start with Afenefere. After that, Oranaze. After that, Pandef. And I did. Started with Adebanjo, South. We went through all the stories. Moved on to Oranaze. Fortunately, I have so many Igbo friends that were prepared to die for each other and so on, this sort of thing. Edwin Clark, our elder, senior, we sat down and said, okay, let's meet as elders, Nigerian elders, not northern elders, not Yoruba elders, not Niger Delta elders, not Igbo elders. Let's sit down as Nigerian elders and discuss. And we did. We came to Abuja. I co-chaired with, because I was the one who really engineered it. Shared with Edwin Clark. Finished. And that time where this country was worried about so many things. This was before the 2019 elections. And after we had thoroughly looked at the situation, we said, okay, we are not happy with where we are now. We want a change in direction. Where are those people who want to lead us? We did a rundown of them, their names and so on and so forth, and their parties. At that time, there were only two parties remaining really that of any substance. About 70 parties contested the election in 1979. It's rubbish. It's just rubbish. So APC had already selected its candidate. But some people said, okay, since we are not so happy with what had happened in the 4 years of APC, can we now change and see whether we can find better something in the next 4 years and see, since we cannot think of new parties. We thoroughly discussed this, and I was the one who read the short communique after our meeting of elders. I said Buhari should not be elected, should not be re-elected in 2019. That was a statement I made. And of course I knew what I would go through here up north. That's not my worry. My worry is my conviction, what I believe in. Came out and said, no, Buhari does not deserve a re-election in 2019. Atiku should be elected. That was the announcement we made after our meeting. That was our meeting. And then we left you people, Nigerians, to do the job. Abi?
Yes, sir.
Here is a pathetic confusion. Some people said Nigerians followed our advice. Some people said no, they did not. If they had strictly followed our advice, we should have had a change of government, or leadership rather, in 2019. Some people said yes, they did. This election is not a reflection, or was not a reflection of how they voted. And that's a very, very strong view, and you can really verify this in places where you will be surprised. You'll be surprised. Now, we are coming to the end of the 2019 that we all appear to be complaining about. Insecurity. Madam, I want buy dollar from you. How much naira do you want for $1?
570 some days, 580 some other days.
You hear why I feel I need a doctor. When I bought dollar in my final year, I'm as Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu University, going outside, I sent 12,000 naira to my banker in Samaru, and he sent 10,000 pounds sterling as my traveler's checks. Traveler's checks. So 1 naira, 20 kobo, 1 pound sterling. At that time, 1 naira equal to $1.40.
Absolutely.
1 naira equal to $1.40. Hi, Chief. If I sit down and look back and say, am I really living here or living elsewhere? How could we? How could we? How could we? Some of you may be economists. I'm not. Because when there was this first devaluation, I was still VC of ABU. As VC, they think that you are a magician, you know every answer. In meetings, you say, what is the meaning of all this devaluation? So I called a dinner in my lodge with mainly people from arts and social sciences, economists. After they finish eating, I said, this food is not free. I want answers so that I can answer questions myself as I go to meetings. What is the meaning of this devaluation? Where at that time, 5 naira to $1. That was how Babangida started. But the national debate we had at that time was against the devaluation. It was also against taking IMF money. The professors told me, sir, this is the beginning of a crisis. Only God knows when it will end. $1 to 5 naira. Today, she's saying that I have to cough out 570 naira to get $1. and we don't create anything here in Nigeria. For everything that you see here, you have to collect the naira, buy the dollar, and then bring it in to this country. This pin, even these pins. So it's a major crisis. So when people like us who have seen some of these things ask ourselves, is it possible that these mechanics, or these artisans we are looking for, can effectively repair this broken down vehicle called Nigeria? But they say, in both scriptures, say don't ever give hope. Give up hope, don't give up hope. We're a very religious country, but whether the religion is here, not here. Now, High Chief, your search is for a mechanic who is going to repair Nigeria. You have already identified that mechanic. Your wish and your hope and your aspiration is that others will agree that your mechanic, your artisan, will be able to undertake this enormous responsibility of repairing this damage. This Nigeria is damaged. Unless you don't want to admit, but we are a damaged state. We want to repair, no doubt, but it takes so much to repair. President alone? Let's take Atiku alone? No, you can't do it alone. He needs every Nigerian, but most importantly, this is where a lot of this failure has taken place. When this man called Buhari came, he didn't know, but he was not prepared to learn from those who know. And that is very, very dangerous. And of course, it's impossible for you to change a society alone. You have to have the society behind you, everybody chipping in to bring about this kind of change that we want. So I still want to assure you that I, as a person, know your mechanic. We were in the same workshop together. We were in the same workshop together when we started to learn the trade of politics. I finished the trade of academia and then started trade of politics with Shehu Eradwa. And that's how he too finished the trade of customs, started politics. We converged about the same time. And a supervising mechanic. So we are doing very well, I tell you. But sometimes what you think about this country is that, are they really serious. They want good people to come and look after their affairs. My very painful example always, and I'll repeat this in the face of anybody. They took away a mechanic that would repair this country and virtually killed him, Shehu Yaradua. A good mechanic, no doubt about this. He didn't rush into any we started our own political party. We were the first national chairman of the party we formed with him. People's Front of Nigeria. He didn't get registration. Titi Ajanaku was the first national secretary. Unfortunately, we lost her about 2 years ago now. And we decided that our politics should be politics of the people of Nigeria, of the wish of Nigeria. And that's why we virtually succeeded. And in no time, Shehu took over the political realm of this country, won his primaries. I was the one who supervised, I was based in Calabar and so on. We took it. And now why are people quarreling now that when we say we want direct primaries? Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid of direct primaries? Why? Because you want to sit down and write names of delegates who do the election you want, not what the leaders, Nigerians want. So these are things that really keep cropping in my mind. Whether it is worth my while to worry anymore. Simple things to repair, we say we don't want. I was the one who first said, well, people talk about restructuring, fiscal federalism, whatever, restructuring, all this. The regions were working. If the regions had been left alone, they would have been, each region would have been better than any African country now. Each region would have been better than any of the African countries we have today. Came and destroyed it. And now we're looking for people who say, oh, let's go back. Yes, but going back with these people who don't want even people to come and queue behind the candidates they want. So, High Chief, me am sold to a new Nigeria. I'm also sold to the idea of finding a good leadership for Nigeria. Whatever will I be on it. But the biggest challenge now, first, identify, and then Nigerians to rally around and do the needful. Without this, we're back to square one. Back to square one. Or even worse than square one. So I sympathize with you for your energies, and congratulations for not giving up. We know you. I knew what you went through yourself. And that didn't discourage you from looking forward and being hopeful that better days will one day come to Nigeria. Sure.